Hi everyone, and welcome to another episode of Around the Kitchen with Steve. Today I'm making the perfect cold weather dish or football Sunday feast. It's tortilla chicken soup, and right now in my multi-use device I have the saute setting where I am in the process of sauteing 2 large onions, which is about a cup of chopped up onion, mixed in with a couple of teaspoons of olive oil. It's going to take about 3 minutes for your onions to get nice and soft. Once your onions have gotten soft, we're going to dive in and turn this off and then add some garlic, where we're not going to use any direct heat. We're going to turn the device off. We're just going to allow that garlic to cook in the already hot pot. So we are very, very close to being done, so I feel comfortable with turning off my device. And now adding in 4 cloves of minced garlic. So you're just going to throw that into your device. You are going to make sure to get everything out of there. Then you're just going to mix everything in, allowing that garlic to cook up and get soft in your already hot pot. So what else are we going to use for this? Well, we have a ton of wonderful ingredients for this recipe. We're starting out with let me check my cheat sheet here, a 15-ounce can of black beans. Obviously you can't have chicken tortilla soup without chicken, so a little over a pound of boneless, skinless chicken breasts, some chili powder and cumin, tablespoon each. We have a full box of chicken stock, or if you have a bigger box or smaller box, the amount is 32 ounces or 4 cups. And then we have this lovely bowl, which is normally my wife's childhood ice cream bowl. We are now using to have our, for lack of a better term, Mexican or Tex-Mex flavors, which is a 14.5-ounce can of roasted diced tomatoes, a 4-ounce can of mild fire-roasted diced green chilies, 15 ounces of Enchilada Sauce red, again mild. I like my stuff a little bit more on the milder side. They do sell spicier versions of these, so feel free to get that if you like a little extra kick in your soup. This is going to be a little bit more on the mild flavorful side as opposed to the flavorful spicy side. So all of those are in there, so we can actually go right ahead and dump this right into the pot. What's great about this is it's just a dump recipe. So what we're going to do first is we're going to add in our chicken stock. So I cut the box to just make it pour out easier. Alright, it seems like a lot of liquid, but for this recipe we're actually using the electric pot setting. So a lot of this liquid is going to turn to steam and soften everything up and make that chicken super shreddable and really flavorful. So next we're going to add in our bowl of liquidy ingredients, your enchilada sauce, your roasted tomatoes, and our fire roasted diced green chilies. That's going to go in there. Make sure we get all the pieces out. Alright, next we're going to add our can of beans. That's going in there. What's great about this is that it's got tons and tons of flavor, tons and tons of different flavors, and it's really going to be fun, like I said, on a cold day. The day I'm filming this video is actually a day with the wind chill factor in Westchester and some spots was below 0. So this is the perfect soup for today. Next, we're going to add our dry spices. It's going to be, as I said, a tablespoon of chili powder and teaspoon of chili powder, teaspoon of cumin. If I make a mistake with the recipe, I always include it in the description on the video so you can get those exact quantities. So let me put our spices in here. Now we're going to want to mix it up. Make sure that we dig deep, because if anything stuck to the bottom of the pan while we were to the bottom of the pot while we were doing that saute function, some of that olive oil, some of those onions, maybe some of that garlic. We want to make sure we scoop all that up. The sticky parts, the little brown parts, that's actually a lot of flavor, so we want to make sure that we put that there. So we're going to do that. Next, we are going to add our chicken, and you just want to make sure that it sits in the liquid. So try and space them out if you can. They're actually going to be able to sit underneath the liquid, and that's great because that's actually what's going to cook your chicken and allow that steam to be what allows it to cook. So, like I said, everything in one pot. So the next thing we have to do is we're going to add our top, which is always an adventure for me, but we're going to make sure that, oh, perfect. Second try. That's like a world record for me. Make sure we put our device on the seal function. We want to turn it back on. We want to choose the pressure cooker setting, which I will be able to find in a second because I'm looking at this upside down. There's the pressure setting. We're going to keep it at high. The time is going to be 9 minutes. We are going to press start. We're going to allow it to steam up, build up that pressure, then the timer is going to start. After the timer hits 0, we're going to allow it to continue for another 10 minutes to allow it to naturally release any steam in there. And then after those 10 minutes, then we can go ahead and do a manual release, which is always fun. It's like a little baby geyser shooting up the steam. Once that happens, we'll be able to take the top off. We'll be able to pull our chicken, and then we'll add some additional ingredients, some salt, some pepper, and some frozen corn that we don't have to do anything with because this is going to be so hot when we're done. We're just going to dump that frozen corn in there, and it's going to go from frozen to fully cooked in like a minute. So I'll see everybody when the timer and release is done. Give us our fun little geyser moment, and then take the top off and see how our tortilla soup is coming out. Alrighty, our cook time is complete. We did our natural release, which allowed it to go for an additional 10 minutes after the 9-minute cook time was up. Now it's time for me to release the pressure valve. I will be stepping away. Not dangerous, I just don't want to feel a little hotness on my face. So I'm going to let that go right now. And again, because we did a natural release, it shouldn't be too big of a geyser as opposed to what we had before. And you may not be able to hear me because it does sound a little bit like if I was at a national park getting shot at by a geyser. So this may take some time because there's so much pressure that builds up in the pot. Even with a natural release of 10 minutes, there's still so much steam, so much pressure that builds up that needs to be removed via this manual release in order for us to safely open our device. Because it's so hot in there that in order to make the chicken so tender so fast, there has to be lots of pressure, lots of heat, lots of steam in there. So this is starting to slow down, I'm hoping. At least it doesn't sound as loud. So I hope it looks really cool on the video. I'm not sure yet until we get to the editing phase. But if you can't see the geyser, at least I'm hoping that you can hear the geyser. So again, it's starting to slow down. And what we're going to do, once we take the top off, all we're doing is we're going to take our chicken out because we want to be able to separate it because we want to shred it before we put it back into the soup. Then we're going to add some corn, add some salt and pepper, put the chicken back in after we shred it, and we're totally done. And it's ready to serve. So, alright, that has died down enough for me to release the top. Let me see. There we go. It's been removed. Oh, I wish that my phone had smell-o-vision. It is so... You could just smell all the different, the tomatoes, the chicken itself, the chicken stock, those chilies. They're not there for heat, they're there for flavor. You could smell the cumin, the chili powder. This is really just a fun dish. So I have my tongs here. I'm going to take my chicken out. That chicken is so soft, I'm afraid it's going to fall apart between when I bring it from the pot to the plate. So if you want to shred your chicken, my recommendation is wait a little bit till it cools, just because it is going to be so hot. And use a fork and a knife. If you don't want to wait till it's hot, till it cools off while it's still hot, if you have one of these great setups, they look like little bear claws. They're great for shredding chicken and pork if you do those in the slow cooker or in the electric pressure cooker. They're a great device and you don't end up burning your hands. And this was actually a gift from my in-laws, so thank you. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add the corn in. Just mix that around so that it gets into this super hot broth with the veggies and the tomatoes that came in those cans and the beans. So we just want to get those. Okay, the corn is set in there. We're going to leave our utensils here. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to dive into the chicken. You just want to shred the chicken. Let me see if I can show it on the camera. Oh, yeah, you can. So you just want to pull the chicken apart. As you can see, the chicken is super hot as I am pulling it apart. It is making steaming noises, which I don't know if that gets picked up on the camera or not. But this chicken is super tender. It's cooked all the way through. Once I shredded the chicken, I put it back into the pot, where now it's sitting with everything else. And as it's shredding, after you shred it, it's able to get more, soak up more flavor from the broth and from the tomatoes and all the spices that we put in there. So the last thing we want to do is we just want to add a little salt and a little pepper to the pot, and then we'll end up stirring that all in together. It's really salt and pepper to taste. Since I went on the milder side with all the other flavors, I added a little extra pepper for a tiny little bit of kick. If you're going on the spicier side, you may not need much black pepper, if any. So just a little bit of salt. You don't want it to be too salty, obviously. So we're just going to go ahead and stir all that. So that is now in here. So what we're going to do right now is I'm going to scoop out some of this and put it into a bowl. And it really is a hearty meal. You have chicken, you have corn, you have the tomatoes from the canned tomatoes, you have some chilies from that the canned chilies. You have obviously the chicken, you have your onion, you have your garlic, you have those flavors from the cumin and the other spices like the salt, the pepper. I forget the other thing we put in there, which was a teaspoon of chili powder. Can't forget that. Chili powder is what gives it that amazing flavor. So I'm going to quickly jump to the next shot where I'm going to show the full bowl with some Tostitos in it. You can serve those with any kind of corn chips that you like. If you like sour cream, as many of you know, I don't do dairy, but if you want to put sour cream in there, you can even put Greek yogurt. If you like to dress it with a little bit of lime juice, you can go ahead and do that. This is really however you want to do it. If you're going to do it for a fun party, you can set up like a little table where there's almost like a make your own taco bar, but instead of making your own taco bar, it's going to be a dress your own chicken tortilla soup bar. So just give me a moment, I'll come back. We'll end our video with a lovely view of our finished soup with some corn chips in it. There is our finished product. You can go ahead and use a corn chip as a spoon if you like, which is what I'm going to do when this video is over, and enjoy this as a nice lunch on this cold day. Again, with football coming up, playoffs, Super Bowl, this is a great dish to serve at any get-together you may have. Or if it's just you and your family, it's a great dish to have. Or if it's just a cold day, in about an hour, you have between prep time, cook time, steaming time, depressuring, all that stuff. From start to finish, it's about an hour. And you get to have a lovely warm dish to keep you from freezing on cold days like today. Alrighty. Until next time, everybody, have a wonderful day.